I'm 75 years old, and I'm about to tell you something I wish someone had forced me to hear when I was young. Something that would have saved me years of regret, silence, and invisible loss. What I'm about to say isn't comforting. It isn't motivational in the way you're used to. But if you let it sink in, it might change the way you live the rest of your life. Before you keep listening, do one thing for me. Subscribe to this channel right now. Not because I want numbers, but because messages like this only matter if they reach people before it's too late. I didn't learn this lesson at 20. I didn't learn it at 30. I didn't even learn it at 50. I learned it slowly, painfully, over decades, watching people disappear while I kept telling myself I had time. And that's the lie I want to pull apart today. I grew up believing life would announce its important moments. That there would be clear signals, sirens, warnings, dramatic music, telling me when something truly mattered. I thought love would always feel urgent, that goodbyes would come with preparation, that regret would arrive all at once. It doesn't. Regret arrives quietly. It slips into your life disguised as normal days. When I was 25, I thought I was behind. When I was 35, I thought I was busy. When I was 45, I thought I was responsible. When I was 55, I thought I was tired. And somewhere between all of that, my life passed without asking for permission. The first time time betrayed me, I didn't notice it. That's the dangerous part. I was 27. My father was still strong then. Hands rough from work, voice steady, always convinced he'd live forever. He used to call me on Sunday evenings, always around the same time. And sometimes I answered, and sometimes I didn't. Not because I didn't love him, but because I was distracted. There was always something that felt more urgent. A show. A conversation. A sense that there would always be next Sunday. There wasn't. He died quietly in his sleep a few years later. No warning. No unfinished sentence. Just gone. And what haunts me isn't what I said, it's what I didn't bother to say because I assumed time was generous. Here's what no one tells you when you're young. Life doesn't take people from you all at once. It erodes them. Slowly. Phone calls become shorter. Visits become less frequent. Conversations get postponed. And one day, without realizing it, you've already had the last one. I married at 30. I loved deeply, but I loved distractedly. I thought love was something you could pause. I thought being present was optional as long as you stayed loyal. I was wrong. Love isn't destroyed by betrayal most of the time. It's destroyed by inattention. There were nights my wife wanted to talk, and I was too tired. Mornings she wanted to walk, and I was too busy. Moments she wanted to sit in silence, and I wanted to feel productive. I told myself I was providing. I told myself I was doing my part, and technically I was. Emotionally, I was absent. When she got sick years later, I sat beside her bed replaying ordinary moments like crime scenes, searching for evidence of love I failed to show when it was easy. And the cruelest part, I had loved her. I just hadn't shown it enough in the moments that mattered most. People think regret comes from big mistakes, affairs, failures, broken promises. But the regret that keeps you awake at 3 a.m. comes from smaller things. Tuesdays, ordinary conversations, times you were physically present but mentally somewhere else. I've buried friends who once felt permanent, people I used to laugh with until our sides hurt, people I promised to see soon. I watched their names turn into memories and then into silence, and each time I told myself I'd do better next time. I didn't. Because here's the truth it took me 50 years to learn. Knowing something intellectually does not mean you live it emotionally. You can understand that life is short and still behave like it isn't. You can attend funerals and still assume you'll be spared urgency. We live like time is renewable. Like tomorrow is guaranteed. Like attention is optional. It isn't. At 75, time feels different. It has texture now. Weight. Every morning feels borrowed. Every goodbye feels mathematical. Not dramatic, just factual. When I watch someone walk away, my mind quietly asks a question it never used to. Was that the last time? And here's what scares me most. That question applies to you too. You just don't believe it yet. You think this video is sad, heavy, morbid. I understand. I used to think that too. But this isn't about death. It's about presence. It's about how easily we give our lives away to distraction and call it normal. I watch younger people now, always rushing, always multitasking, always somewhere else. And I don't judge them. I recognize myself. The same assumptions, the same belief that meaning will come later. Later never comes. I used to think life would slow down eventually, that I'd reach a stage where things made sense, where priorities became obvious. They don't. You have to choose them deliberately. Over and over again. The greatest lie productivity ever told you is that being busy equals being valuable. Some of the most meaningful moments of my life happened when nothing was accomplished. Sitting quietly with my mother as she folded laundry. Driving aimlessly with a friend who's now gone. Eating a simple meal without checking the time. Those moments didn't feel important then. They feel monumental now. If I could go back and speak to my younger self, I wouldn't tell him to work less, or earn more, or take more risks. I would tell him to pay attention. Pay attention to faces when they speak. Pay attention to the weight of silence. Pay attention to who keeps showing up. Because attention is love in its purest form. I spent decades planning a future that never arrived the way I imagined. Retirement wasn't freedom. It was reflection. And reflection is brutal if you weren't present while living. Here's the lesson that took me 50 years to learn. Life doesn't ask you to do more. It asks you to notice more. Notice when someone wants your time, not your solutions. Notice when a conversation matters more than your phone. Notice when a moment is trying to become a memory. You don't need a new life. You need a more awake one. I'm not telling you to quit your job. I'm not telling you to abandon responsibility. I'm telling you something far harder. Stop postponing attention. Call the person you keep meaning to call. Sit with the person you love without fixing anything. Listen without planning your response. Because one day, if you're lucky enough to reach my age, you'll discover that the measure of a life isn't success or happiness. It's presence. I'm 75 years old. I don't regret what I failed to achieve. I regret how often I wasn't fully there for what I already had. Don't make this your story. Remember and return. Return to presence. Return to love. Return to now. Because I promise you, with everything I have left, later never comes. If this message spoke to you, subscribe to this channel. We share stories and truths meant to reach you before regret does. Leave a comment and tell me, who are you going to give your attention to today?